How did a country once known for copying old Soviet planes end up creating something as sleek, agile, and advanced as the J-10? Is it a warning signal across the Pacific, or just China flexing its engineering muscles? Is the J-10 truly a product of Chinese innovation? Or does it carry the DNA of another nation's design? Maybe one with a blue and white flag. Today, we're diving into the story of the asterisk, Vigorous Dragon asterisk, a fighter jet that has flown under the radar, literally and figuratively, but deserves much more attention. Let's rewind to 1981. Cold War is simmering, and the Chinese Air Force, known as the PLA-8, is still relying on outdated jets like the J-7 and J-8. Basically remakes of 1950s Soviet aircraft. Not exactly inspiring stuff, frustrated with flying relics. The commander of the PLAF, whose name we'll kindly skip for pronunciation's sake, requested something bold, new, next-generation jet designed and built entirely in China. But surprisingly, he got approval, along with 500 million yuan to make it happen. Three companies submitted their ideas. Shenyang proposed something similar to the American F-16. Chengdu leaned toward copying the MiG-23. It was Chengdu Aircraft Design Institute that won, with a radical delta wing design using canards, a layout that reminded many of Sweden's Saab Viggen. But this wasn't just a copycat moment. See, Chengdu had previously developed the J-9, a double-delta, canard-equipped jet that never made it past the drawing board, though it was canceled in the 1980s. The J-9's bones were revived in this new design. Every great jet needs a great engineer. In this case, it was Song Wencom, a man who would go on to become a Chinese aviation legend. His team aimed to build China's first truly modern fighter, complete with advanced aerodynamics, fly-by-wire controls, and their own engine, the WS-10. Dreams are rarely easy to build. Funding dried up in the late 80s. Political priorities shifted. China faced a J-10 program seemed doomed. Then came 1991 and the Gulf War. American F-15S and F-16S dominated Iraqi skies, shocking Chinese military leaders. The performance gap was crystal clear. Keep up. China bought Soviet Su-27 fighters and then licensed their production. This gave Shenyang a new task: build Russian jets at home. Meanwhile, Chengdu finally got momentum again, building a full-scale J-10 mock-up around 1991. But there was one big problem. WS-10 engine just didn't work. It was underpowered and far behind schedule, though they did what many developing nations do. They looked abroad. Xi's AL-31FN engine, the same one used in the Su-27, became the J-10's new power source. This forced engineers to redesign the jet's air intakes, strengthen its frame, and update internal systems. To their credit, they did this incredibly fast. Now here's where things get interesting. Some people believe the J-10 might have been inspired by Israel's canceled Lavi fighter. Lavi, scrapped in 1987, was a delta-wing, single-engine jet with canards downed. Familiar similarities between the Lavi and J-10 are uncanny. While there's no direct proof of blueprints being shared, analysts have long speculated that China might have received help from Israeli intermediaries, or even through espionage. An Israeli delegation did visit China in 1986, discussing weapon sales and technology transfers. Around the same time, China secured a license to build Israel's Python 3 air-to-air missile. Though, was it possible that Israel passed along the Lavi's designs? Maybe. They had just shelved their fighter and were busy upgrading to American jets. Selling their hard work might have seemed like a good business move. Chengdu's engineers deny any copying, claiming the J-10 is a natural evolution of the J-9 and other internal projects. While that's plausible, just take a look at the Lavi and J-10 side by side. It's hard not to raise an eyebrow. On March 23, 1998, after nearly 20 years of stop-and-go development, the prototype J-10, designated 1001, finally took to the skies. Test pilot Li Gang made history with the first flight. It was more than a test. It was a symbol. China had built its own fourth-generation fighter jet. J-10A officially entered service in 2004 and went operational by 2006. Factories quickly produced over 150 jets, which formed the backbone of China's single-engine fighter fleet for years. But while the J-10A looked modern, it wasn't quite cutting edge. Lacked top-tier electronics, advanced radar, and modern missiles. Still, it was a strong step forward. The J-10A was just the beginning. In 2008, China unveiled the J-10B, a smarter, stealthier version that reflected years of technological advancement. Here's where it gets nerdy but important. J-10B introduced a new diverterless supersonic intake, DSI. This replaced the old rectangular air intake and significantly improved the jet's stealth by reducing its radar signature. It also simplified the airframe and improved airflow at high speeds. Nose cone was reshaped to house an electronically scanned radar, likely the KJ-3A. This allowed the jet to track multiple targets at once, a huge leap from earlier mechanical radars inside the cockpit. The jet got a modern makeover. Glass displays, better controls, and digital systems. Pilots could now manage the aircraft more efficiently, with improved situational awareness. Most importantly, the J-10B could carry China's advanced PL-12 missile, giving it long-range air-to-air combat capability. It also supported precision-guided bombs, making it useful for strike missions too. J-10's story is a perfect reflection of China's rise in aviation. Low start, rocky road, but relentless progress. From borrowing ideas, perhaps too closely, from global peers to engineering its own updates, China transformed the J-10 from a meh prototype into a worthy competitor. It may not match the F-35 or Su-57 in all categories, but it's cost-effective, versatile, and a warning to anyone underestimating Chinese aerospace today. Though next time you see that delta-shaped dragon streaking across the sky, remember, this jet didn't come from nowhere. It's the result of ambition, trial, error, and maybe a little borrowed inspiration. Want to test the J-10's power yourself? Up into War Thunder. Over 2,500 real-world vehicles, detailed damage modeling, and pure mayhem await. Play for free on PC, console, or mobile. Use my link in the description to get bonuses and fly with me this weekend, because the only thing cooler than learning about jets is flying one.